Hey everybody, Aaron Auger coming to you once again from our production facility here in Peosta, Iowa. We're going to go through another of our installation videos. This time today we're going to be talking about our Mighty M biological series wastewater recycle system. But in addition to our Bio 25 that I have sitting beside me here, we actually have a couple of accessories. So I'm going to talk about our WTA settling tank, as well as this one has our coagulation feature, our coagulation option for settling solids that is built into it. So I'll kind of walk you through all of these as far as, again, the installation tips or techniques that might become useful to you when you're installing one of these in the field. So every one of our biological systems, the 20, the 25, and the 35 gallon a minute machines, does come standard with a 1/2 horsepower submersible sump pump. So this sump will go into your pit. It'll be what gets the water from your pit into your treatment system. Again, with this setup, we have our WTA tank, which is one of our settling tanks, in line for it. So what we would do is plumb our sump pump from our pit into the WTA tank, which will become our first line of settling, our first line of defense to get those solids out of our waste stream in order for our biological system to better treat that water. So as the solids and as that dirty water comes from your pit into your WTA tank, because we have a coagulation option on that, that's where the water's first going to go. As it enters into the coag system, you're going to see the chemical portion of it here. So as the water's flowing through, it's first going to be triggered by a flow switch that's in line. That flow switch is going to tell the system that, hey, yes, I do have water running through there. It's okay to engage my chemical pump, and it's okay to engage that, add that coagulant into the waste stream. So once that coagulant gets into the waste stream, it's going to come up here into this hydrostatic mixer. That's going to help that chemical mix inside with the water, and by the time it gets up into the tank, it's going to be a nice mix process that's really going to help to drop out and precipitate those solids out of the water that's getting into the tank. So the settling tank is doing its job with the help of that chemical coagulant compound that's going to help really precipitate those solids and get them out of there, leaving us with water that we can treat in our water treatment system. One of the items that you'll have to do on that WTA tank, especially with the coag, down at the bottom we do have a manual dump valve on there that is going to be how you get rid of the solids out of that tank. Now we have some options as well for automating that between pinch valves, between electronic valves, so that's something that can take some of the manual process out, but for this case, this tank here, it is a manual dump valve that's on there. So once the settling takes place, once we get as many of the solids as we possibly can, that's where the water gets into our biological system. So the water will enter on this side here on the inlet valve, inlet port, and that's where the microbes and the biochemistry will start to take place. The first 3 chambers is where the microbes are introduced. So inside of these first 3 chambers, there's coalescing packs, coalescing media that's inside of there. When you open these tanks up, you'll see that there's 24 pieces of 1 by 1 by 3 foot sections of that media that go inside of there. And that media serves a couple of purposes. One, it helps the microbes colonize. It gives them a place to cling on to. So as that food source rises up to the top, that's what they can eat and that's what they consume to thrive and to eat. 2, because it's a coalescing pack, it's an oil-based plastic. Oil adheres to oil, small drops become larger, they will rise to the top, and again, that's what helps the microbes, that's what keeps the microbes sustained, that's the food source for them. So every time you're washing, every time you're adding dirty water that contains those greases, oils into the system, that's a food source for the microbes. We introduce those microbes through a peristaltic metering pump. So this peristaltic pump, when we factory preset that, we'll set it to dose 2 times per day, about 6 ounces per dose. So you're getting roughly 12 ounces of microbes every day coming into that system. So you've got fresh bugs that are coming in every day to attack and consume and do what they need to do. Our liquid microbes come in a 5-gallon pail, and the peristaltic pump is designed to draw microbes out of that bucket. We actually have 2 metering pumps on this system. The second one is set up for a defoamer. A lot of people will add a defoaming agent into the biosystem as well too, just to combat any foaming issues that you may or may not have. It's one of those things that you can add on to it that again helps kind of balance out the system and does a nice job in giving the microbes a place to live. One of the features of this system is the aeration pump that's on there. The aeration pump runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's always going to be moving water within the tank, and it's always going to be injecting oxygen through our 2 Mozzie injectors back into it. What that does is it promotes a very healthy, nutrient-rich environment for the microbes to thrive in inside, because again, just like you and me, they need oxygen to breathe. And the smaller the bubbles that we can put in there, the longer those bubbles are going to be in suspension, the more oxygen that they're going to provide to the inside of the tank, and it's going to be a better environment for the microbes to thrive in. As that water goes through the cleaning process, and as the bugs do what they have to do, it then gets the water ready to go over to the final chamber that we have, which is our holding tank. And that holding tank stores that water in order for us to be able to reuse it. So whether you want to use it just as a garden hose off of the manifold, our pressure tank will give you about 50 psi of water that's coming off of there. Or there's the 3 ports that are labeled as pressure washer ports to reuse to clean all of your equipment in your fleets. 2 other features that are on our manifold up front, we do have a rainwater overflow and we do have a freshwater makeup. Now both of those are solenoid controlled, as you'll see up here on the front. Those solenoids are hooked into floats inside of our product chamber. And what that does is the rainwater overflow, if we ever get too much water within the system, that float is going to rise up and tell us that we have to kick water out. So you'll want to plumb a line out of that rainwater overflow coming outside of the system. So whether you do that to a holding tank or someplace else, that's excess water that we want to get rid of. So it's a very important feature. Conversely, the freshwater makeup does the exact opposite. If we ever get to the point where we don't have enough water in the system, if we have a shortage for whatever reason, we're not going to run out of water to where our pumps might run dry, our microbes might die because of that. The freshwater makeup will have an incoming water line plumbed into it, float controlled, and if the system senses that I don't have enough water, I'm going to inject more water into it, so I'm never going to run out. So those 2 solenoids serve a very important purpose, a very important function in the overall maintenance of the system. Our transfer pump down here on the end, like I was saying before with the pressure washer or using it off the pressure tank, that's just simply going to take our treated water and it's going to deliver us back to when we want to use it again and again and again. So as the water hits the ground, it'll go back into your sump pump. Your sump pit, your sump pump will pick that up and continually recirculate that water throughout the system. So on the back of the biosystem, one thing that's important not to ignore is the drain ports that are on the back. We're going to plumb those in sequence that will allow you to drain out the solids that accumulate on the bottom of the tank. The tanks are all sloped bottom, so any solids, any dirt, any debris that accumulates inside of the tank will funnel its way to the back. And once you open those valves up, the water pressure will allow you to purge your solids from the back of the tank, making maintenance much easier. So again, this is our Bio 25, which is the middle of the 3 systems that we have in this configuration, the 20, the 25, and the 35. This particular tank holds 1,434 gallons of water, and it's always recirculating within itself. It's always moving within itself. Nothing tends to sit stagnant in these tanks. Nothing tends to get smelly or stinky because of that.
For more information, please give us a call at 1-800-553-9053 or visit us online at mightym.com.